How much did you love that episode of the show? My God. So we are so excited today to have with us the co-creator of Mr. Peter Saji. Right behind him, we have Shartika Sumter, some of who you may have seen in Sonic the Hedgehog recently. Right behind her, we have Mark Paul Gosselaar. And last but certainly not least, Miss Erica Hemo. First of all, thank you all so much for being here. You guys had moments, right, watching that episode where you were laughing so hard you missed the next joke, right? You girls over there, I heard you. It was so great. And so I want to start with you about where the genesis of the idea and how you guys decided you wanted to do this.
So I was on Blackish since season 1. And so I got an opportunity, right, for Tracy, Rainbow. And, it's Golden Globe winning Tracy Ellis Ross, and it's such a strong character. And I got to work with Kenya a lot, and we were collaborating on a bunch of different projects. And we're writing a movie, we're writing a play. And then he was like, hey, do you want to do this pilot? And I was like, no. Like that. And he was like, sometimes you got to dig deep. I was like, all right, I mean, this guy's got 6 kids. I got no excuse. So we did this pilot, and I'm so glad I did, because now I get to work with these amazing people.
And it's such a great concept because Bo has such a great backstory. And for Mark Paul and for Tika, I'm curious, the chemistry here is so great. Was that instantaneous for you guys, or was there sort of a working up to it period?
Good acting.
We hate each other. No.
This is the closest we've sat next to each other in months.
No, I was already connected to the pilot, and then they brought Mark Paul in, and we had a chemistry read, and as soon as he walked out the door, I was like, he is it. Seriously. Not only was he my crush since, Zach Morris days, but, and I dressed up like him, my fiance and I dressed up as Lisa Turtle like a year before. No, we had chemistry like right away, and then just getting to know him off set and all that stuff, it just shows up on screen.
Absolutely, and the relationship is so great, but from a writing standpoint, it's also pretty delicate too. Because for some of the audience, I'm gonna guess Mark Paul is the way in. He is sort of learning, and that character is learning things about his family in the process. And I love the moments where you pause and Tracy will come on, and like they did in this episode with stereotypes, and you did with Rent Parties previously, and White Flight. And sometimes he is the POV for that. And I'm curious about balancing, making him a loving father that knows how to do his daughter's complicated hair, but also someone who still has to learn things, and what that's like for you, playing that and being an ally on the show.
I learn a lot from reading these scripts and watching these shows. But yeah, my character does feel like at times the sort of POV of the audience that isn't as woke, I guess they say nowadays.
No, we don't say it anymore.
You don't say that?
We used
Something
to say
else.
it.
Awoken? Now? Yeah, I appreciate playing that character. See, this is Paul and Alicia right here. But you could speak better to that, to the balance.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of fun to write for his character, and I think as the season's gone on, we've really sort of found that balance, because like you said, that is a window and a way in for a lot of people. But at the same time, like, we have to be true to the fact that he's 15 years in the game of this family, And so it's like, with a lot of the episodes that we're doing towards the end of the season, he has points of views that are surprising. And then this when you say the word balance, there's like a balance with the series in general, because we have Alicia's character, which is this fierce, strong black woman that, and then you have his character that are basically trying to figure out what about their experiences can mesh to create like the right way to raise their daughter. And then we have Erica's character that's based on Tracy Ellis Ross, and so that's the actual like heart and soul of what started the project. And so it's finding the stories that marry the combination of all these amazing actors and all their characters. And so it's really just a pendulum that swings back and forth, and we just keep doing it, and it's been working out for us.
And Erica, for you, you have so much to work with here. You have obviously Tracy's grown character to sort of look to for some sort of mannerisms. And then you have your parents here who the show is about them trying to do the right thing for you. And in this episode in particular, it's such a great mix of that dorky, Beau trying to dance thing, but this smart and empathetic thing. And I'm wondering for you, what is it like to be able to play such a wide range in a character? I mean, it's really rich for a teen character on a sitcom. There's a lot happening there.
Yeah, it's really amazing because, I get to do so many different things in my acting. I get to pull out all these elements, and, while I'm still playing Tracy's character, Rainbow Johnson, I'm keeping her in mind, but also, getting to do my own thing. And, I mean, Rainbow's just so compassionate and caring, and she wants the best for everyone. And, that's kind of, I can relate to the character, and it's been really fun playing her. Yeah.
And for all of you, we had spoken a little bit earlier in the EW studio, and Mark, Paul, you were talking about how some of the issues that come up in the show end up actually being like real discussions among the cast and the crew about how you're going to play things. And race is such a fraught thing in this country now, and has been, honestly, let's be honest, forever. But you guys are trying to deal with it in a comedic way as well. So are there discussions that you have that are very serious that you end up finding your way to the comedy through those discussions? That something starts at sort of a high pitch of, I don't know if we should go there, but you figure out a way through discussion to make it funny.
I think the actors sometimes, Saji is always, the writers are always there to help us, massage something if we're not totally agreeing with something, or how, everybody's experience here is very different. So if we talk about blackface, for me, it might mean something for somebody else, or it might not be as intensified for somebody else, but I have to be true to the character and how blackface was actually a thing we talked about. And I think it's a discussion of how to be empathetic to experiences, real life experiences, while also trying to tell a story. So these discussions are welcomed here on the set, I feel like, and between all of us, I feel like it's all in good. It's all for the good of the show.
Absolutely, and my goal is to really sort of find the line and push boundaries. And so we have conversations with the cast where they're like, "You found the line. You're over it. Can we go back a little bit?" And for it to work, we have to have that open communication. Otherwise, if they don't feel comfortable and they don't feel safe, then these jokes feel mean. Right. And that's what we can't have.
And it's interesting because Gary and Christina's characters sort of occupy these opposite poles, right? But there also seems to be there might be something going on there. I mean, Silver Granddad, what's happening? Are we going towards something there?
We're not.
I said the same thing. I was like, what y'all doing?
But Gary is often the sort of conduit for the worst of what's happening on one side, and Christina for the other side. I mean, there was a line in this episode, the N-word, go home, and then she's like, I just missed you. And there was a line where Micah Michelle's character said, when Dad was making them do chores for money, I thought the days of making white people making black people work for free were in our past. So I'm curious, when you have these lines in the mouths of babes, how do you find that line? Or in the mouths of old white guys?
Yeah, I mean, I'm the type to step too far over and then be like, oh, it's behind me. Okay. Everyone, can we start moving backwards now? So, and then the beauty though too is I'm okay with the pen, honestly, and they make me look really good because they elevate the material and they bring a heart to it, because that's ultimately what it is. Because you have, Harrison's character, you have Denise's character, and they're insane, and then you have these super fleshed out characters played by amazingly strong actors, and when they bring that heart to it, we get away with a lot more than we probably should be able to get away with.
And Erica, for you, just as a sort of professional, personal question, here you are headlining this amazing thing that is very successful with this great cast of people. Are you sort of seeking advice from the people around you, or are they offering you advice about sort of how to navigate this at your age?
Honestly, just being on set, it's really opened my eyes to, how these people act, and, everybody's so professional, and it's taught me a lot. Everyone's so kind.
Oh,
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah, and I mean, when I was first, for the first episode, I wanted to make sure that I had the character spot on, but, Tracy was there to just say, don't worry about just nailing the character, because it's important for you to, as an actor, do what you want to do with it. And I mean, this whole experience has been so awesome, and the Ish universe, everyone is just amazing. Yeah.
And Mark, Paul, and Tika, for you, you guys have done, over the course of your careers, wildly different things. You've both done serious drama, you've both done uproarious comedy. And I'm curious about what this show challenges you as an actor. What about this? Because you all really do seem to be enjoying yourselves doing it. So what about interfacing with this as a real challenge that you enjoy?
I'll start. Okay. For me, I'm used to doing a lot of drama, either fighting someone or being super serious, and which is awesome. But the thing that I haven't been able to do really is comedy. And, especially for a Black girl, we're not sometimes seen in that vein, and I get to be goofy and silly and not know how to dance and be offbeat and like be awkward and weird, and which also flows into how Bodhi is. And I get to be super smart and vulnerable, and so I get to really have a layered, fleshed out character, which I'm so grateful to you. You just let me be all these things, which a lot of the times Black women aren't given that opportunity. So I'm just grateful that I'm able to do that.
I don't know. I get challenged just doing comedy. It's not like I'm not like I find Anthony Anderson on Blackish. Like, he's funny. Like, he's a funny person in real life. When you meet Anthony, he's just open and he's there, and I'm really not. Like, I'm sort of closed and
dark, moody.
But I'm not. I don't consider myself a comedian like Anthony, and people who do comedy, I think, have that sort of background. I started in comedy, and then when I started doing more dramatic, I remember I got a note from Dennis Franz when I was on NYPD Blue. He's like, "Bring it down. Just the camera's right here. You don't have to do so much. Just bring it down." And then with comedy, you play these wider shots, and it's much more, you have to be out there, and you just kind of have to express more, and that puts me out of my comfort zone. Like, when we just did, can I say what we just did this last week? We did I won't say exactly, but it was we dressed up and we danced, and that really put me out of my comfort zone.
But you were into it.
But it's like, at a certain point, you kind of have to do it as if like you're in a mirror in the bathroom and you're just, no one's watching. That's kind of what comedy is to me, and that really challenges me, to sort of go there. It's like, how far can we go? And it's not only with the dialogue, but in terms of like, how far can we go sort of, with our mannerisms and our facial expressions.
It's also like, because we're used to being small, like, in
Dramatic
film,
acting,
dramatics, like
it's
the more
right
you're like,
here.
it's like ridiculous, but like this, you're like, it's your body is
Your
part
mannerisms,
of
everything,
and
the
you're like,
whole
is that
thing.
too much? And they're like, more, and you're like, really? Like, this isn't bad acting? They're like, no, more. And you're like, all right.
Yeah, so that's the most challenging thing for me between.
I'm so surprised to hear you say that, because I was when I watched the pilot, I was like, you're so natural in this. Like, I think I am not alone, and like, you just seem like you were built to do this character. It's a really good part for you, and I want to ask you about what Tika was just saying. I mean, it harkens back a little to sort of the Norman Lear sitcoms, that kind of thing, where there's issues in comedy, but like in a show where you really only have 22 minutes to get this done, that you have so many layers in every single character. Yes, they have things that are sort of sitcom hooks, that Santi is, got a big attitude, but there are other things there too. And I'm curious about, we have a lot of students here, about writing. is that stuff that just naturally comes, or does it come from watching the actors and then writing to that? Because they really feel lived in.
There's some of both, you know. And first, I just also want to give credit to Karen Gist, who's not here, but she's my partner in this, and she's gifted. But you know, it's first we really loved Wonder Years, and so it was like, and so in the way that Blackish is a little more elevated as sitcom, we wanted this to sort of play more real, and so that was sort of what we were looking for. And then we found actors that were capable of doing that, like super talented. And so then when you can sort of write from a real place and they can inhabit that so adeptly, that then gives us sort of the freedom to tackle more complicated subject matter and do different types of jokes. And so it's sort of, we had this wish list, and then we found people that could do it. And then it's like, all right, let's go.
Your wishes were granted. I mean, it's complex for a broad sitcom. And now I'm hoping that folks in the audience have some questions. If you do, it's time for you to shine. Raise your hand. We'll come find you with a microphone right here in the front.
Hi, my name is Elisa. I'm a big fan of all of you, and I want to thank you so much for coming out today. I wanted to know, how much of the characters do you take home with you?
Well, I take the hair and the sideburns home with me every night. So I take a little bit of Paul with me when I go home.
Yeah, I think.
He's made me a better parent. We've talked about this.
Yes.
I'm like, man, I wish I could be a parent like Paul. He's so accepting, and he's so nice.
Yeah.
Like, what would Paul do when, like, one of your
I
kids
I do a bit of that at home. Like, what? I'm like, my kids would do something, and instead of counting to 10, I'm like, what would Paul do? What would Paul do?
Yeah, I think we all take a little bit of our characters home, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, definitely the compassionate side of Rainbow, and also her smarts, because I love biology. Yeah, so yeah.
I love it. All right, who's next? Great.
Hi, my name is Mariam. I'm a local actress in Atlanta. My question is for Erica. This is the first role that many of us have seen you in, and I wanted to know how your life has changed, and congratulations.
Thank you. First of all, you know, moving from New York to LA has been very big and different, and just, I mean, being in front of a set, doing comedy, because I used to just do like drama stuff like that. It's really amazing, and it just shows you like how hard these people are working on sets, and it's just, I've been so grateful to be here, and even doing stuff like this, and just traveling. Yeah, my life has changed a lot.
All right, who's next? We have someone right down in front. Oh, all right, right over there.
Oh, yeah, hi.
Girl, that dress.
Hey,
that looks
thank
good.
you.
Good lady.
I literally cannot breathe in this. All right. So my name's Ashante Sams. I'm an MFA Performing Arts student from the Savannah campus, but I live in Atlanta. And I wanted to know what the audition process was like for this show as an actor, because I've done a lot of research on the ish stuff, because it was a part of my paper I had to do in undergrad when I was doing a paper on the evolution of the Black sitcom. So I wanted to know, was the audition process when you first got the characters and the breakdowns and scripts like, this is something I have to do? Or when you approached the audition process, like, how did you approach the characters and things like that?
For me, actually, Kenya Barris and I, we always bump into each other in these kind of events, and we're like, we got to work together. And he called me and he asked if I would come read for this character, Alicia. And then I looked up the Alicia, and Alicia originally looks more like him than me. And so, skin tone wise. And I was like, huh? He's like, we want to have a different take on it, come in. And then I read the breakdown of who this woman is, and I was like, I jumped on it. And then I went in and read with a few people, and I was freaked out because it's literally kind of a small little theater room, not even a theater room, but imagine going into this and coming up on stage and then doing the like your scene, and everybody's looking at you how you're looking at me. Act, be funny. You know, and you're like, oh, and Tracy Ellis Ross is there, and the casting, and Saji's there, and producers, and Kenya's there, and you want to make everybody proud and like to be happy with the decision of like asking to be in the room. And so I was scared because I've never done comedy really, and it was frightening because it wasn't like a sure shot that I got the job. It was just like, we want to see how it is, and you know, I did it, and people started laughing, and I'm like, more. I want more of that. No. And so, and then, you know, Tracy actually took me in the room because I was a little nervous, and she's like, Tika, it's all good. Really talked me through the character, and then I got it.
She was amazing.
Thank you. That was my process. How about you guys?
Well, first I auditioned in New York, and looking at the breakdown, you know, I was at that time I was just coming back from Sundance, so I was really just overwhelmed with a lot of stuff on my mind. But I knew that, like, I don't want to say I knew that I could like really take this role and perform it well, but I just, something in me just told me that, like, you got this, you're gonna ace this. So did the audition, felt good about it, got called to LA, did the test shoot in the room, and you know, I did the best that I could. I walked out of there, and then I was at Disneyland. Actually, no, I was at Joe's Crab Shack. Yeah, and my dad got the call that I booked the role, and I choked on my crab leg, and yeah, it was amazing.
And Mark Paul, you actually were brought in after the pilot, right? And
Yeah.
so did they seek you out, or did you audition?
No, I had just switched agencies, and I was in the room with these agents, and one of them said, "Would you ever do comedy?" And I said, "Of course." And he goes, "I'm going to get you in for Mixed-ish." And I was like, "Yeah, you do that, big guy." You know, because it's one of those things like, we're going to work for you. We're going to, you know, we're a new agency, and we have, you know, we want to work right now. But they made it happen. I mean, they got me in the room, and they said, "Yeah, you're going to read with Tika Sumter," and it's a chemistry read. So it wasn't necessarily, you know, like a done deal. I had to go in there and kind of fight. And when I walked in, I saw Peter there, and Tracy was on a laptop. She was being Skyped in or FaceTimed in, and that was. But we had a good.
We
had a
did.
good read.
Well, I was nervous to meet him. I'm like, oh my God, is he gonna be nice? Oh my God, is he everything that I've ever wanted him to be? You know. And then he's just like, hey, nice to meet you. And I was like, hi. And
I was super nervous because.
Were you?
I totally, because, you know, what people don't, there were so many things going on, but I was here last year for another project called The Passage, and The Passage was supposed to go for a second season. We filmed it here in Atlanta, and the 11th and a half hour, they pulled the plug on that, and then you find yourself going, holy, you know, I have no job this year. And then big switch with agencies. So a lot was riding on me to get a job. Then, because you're working with Kenya and Peter and this world of Ish, you know these. First, somebody had asked me a question: does it create more anxiety or less being on this show, knowing, you know, the success that Grownish and Blackish have had? I said it's both, because you want to perform for them, but you also know that you're protected within the universe. But all that on the table for us was like a big thing. It's like you want this job more than anything, because you know that you're going to work with some great people and be given an opportunity to be super creative and hopefully have the legs, which we got this year with 23. I mean, I've been begging for that sort of schedule for years, and it does not come along too often that you get to do something you really enjoy for this long. Generally, the orders are now 10. Sometimes even shorter, and that just doesn't allow you to creatively and monetarily be fulfilled at times. So, you know, this was an opportunity. Like, when this came along, I was like, I want this bad.
And when you walked out of the room when you were done, I was like, that's it, guys. He's the one.
Thank you.
They already knew that, but I was like, hire him.
But you don't know this walking out of the room. I mean, actors here, you'll just know. Like, you can't get, like she said, they're looking at you like, huh, yeah. Okay, and they're playing it cool. You're playing it cool, because the last thing you want to do is walk in a room going like, I need this job.
Yeah.
I have kids and a life, and they're in private school. You know, and the thing is too, like, when you come to that level where you're testing for a job, this is the really, you know, effed up part of our business is you know exactly how much you're going to make every single week. Like you go through business affairs, you sign on the contract and you know what you're going to make. And you're up against other people and you're like, "Oh my God, I'm going to make this much as you know, and some of it's like the most you'll ever make." And it's like, "Oh my God, I need this job." And all this stuff that's happened and you have to go out there and fight for it. And then everyone's playing poker. You don't want to show that you really need this job. They don't want to show they're excited. So yeah, I walked out of that room going, I don't know. Yeah, of course, because you just never know. You know, it's like nothing is a given in this industry. So when you walk out, and then no one calls, and then like you're like, and then you want to play it cool. It's like being on a date. You know, it's like, should I call first or did they call me? And then we were waiting for Carrie Burke, who's the head of ABC, because she was in Italy. So I'm like, is she gonna call to let me know I got the job because Kenya signed off, but then Carrie Burke didn't sign off? And it's like it's
a mess.
It's a
This whole
mess.
thing.
It
No.
sounds very stressful. But
It's a super stressful thing.
This
yeah.
is a really good example, though, for everyone in this room, regardless of what you do, anyone, literally, that sometimes when things fall through and you think it's the end of the world, it's actually, I mean,
beginning.
the door closes and a window opens. That where Sad Passage was a really interesting show, but if it hadn't gone away, you wouldn't be sitting here right now. And this is so wonderful. We have time for one more question, I am told. Oh my God, you decide. I can't. Person with the microphone. All right.
Hi, my name is Armanda Hernandez. I'm an Atlanta local. I'm with YGB Talent. And this is more, I audition a lot right now. I'm in that phase that every actor knows where it's just like a lot of patience, a lot of waiting, a lot of getting my face out there. I just want to know, like, what advice would you give yourself before that big booking happened to you? Thank you.
Ooh, I'm glad there wasn't social media when I was coming up. It's hard. But social media is also a positive thing on the other side because, you know, comparison is like the thief of the night to me. You just got to be focused, super focused on what you really want to do. Do you want to become famous or do you want to work? You know, and with anything successful, people are going to know you more, obviously. But I think really digging in your heels and like, for me in New York, I would, you know, I mean, I sat on a pile of no's like for a very long time. But all you can, I would read this article, this newspaper called Backstage and get auditions from it. And I mean, I hustled hard, but I knew what I wanted. And the no's, I knew how focused I was when everybody kept telling me no. I still went on. So for me, it's like, if you really want to do this, and even people who have persisted and kept going, some of them didn't make it. But I would say, what is success to you? Is success to you being in theater? Is success to you being on TV or being in a short that maybe like it's so many different variations and mediums now, which I think is a good thing. Like you and your friends can get together and create something and put it online and who knows what will happen. It's just like, what is success for you? For me, it was like, I thought when I got on One Life to Live, my first job, I was like, this is it. I'm good. I don't, I'm not a waitress anymore. Like I was like, I'm acting every day. And then I was like, wait, oh yeah, I do want more. But like that was the start of something. And so I just think you gotta just focus and really focus on what you want.
Also, every time you get material, every time you go in the room to audition for something, those are learning moments, right? So I've always taken it like I'm super gracious just be given the opportunity to do something that I really enjoy doing. And just don't get discouraged because there's been times, like even in my career, like people, oh, you're super successful, you've been working for 40 years. But I could count back as early as 2016. I was like, screw this, I'm done. I'm gonna do something else. I'm done with this industry. And then something just kind of hooks you again. And maybe you take a break from it and you look, back and you get back into it and something good happens. And this is that little thing that drives you forward. But even when, like you said, the big thing happens, even if that doesn't happen, just taking those steps and knowing that this is a process. It's you got to fight for it and you got to understand that all these little things are going to add up. Like, just like I said, just reading something it just keeps you fresh and keeps you in it. Just stay in it, because a lot of the times, like, it's a war of attrition out there for a lot of actors. I mean, it's like whoever wants it more. And the other thing is, like, we talk about fame, or you're doing it for stage, or you're doing it for TV. There's no right answer. Like, if you want to do it for fame, great. If you want to do it because, you know, something inside of you can't live without it, great. But there is no right answer. There's no right or wrong. It's like, it is what it is, really.
I don't think there's right or wrong, but I think when you are doing it for fame, that can wear off. Like, that's not going to sustain you to keep going.
But there's a lot of people out there that have made a big living doing that.
Yeah, but it was through different avenues and different mediums that we have now. But I think acting, if you're thinking acting or anything like that, I think you have to have something that's going to sustain you, because when people aren't giving you a round of applause every time, which is most of the time for actors, you're in your room crying that you didn't get the part, or you didn't, you know, you messed up that audition, or you did whatever. You got to know what your reason is. And I think sometimes fame wears off when you don't get the applause anymore, or when you're not the prettiest one in the room anymore. So to me, fame is just like a, you know, it's a thing, to me, personally.
Well, I cannot thank you all enough for being here. Representation matters, and I am personally so grateful for this show. So thank you all for being here. Thank you all for being here, and enjoy the rest of your festival.